Christopher Bell wins, but Ross Chastain steals the show. Let's talk about it. Coming up next. What is going on, everybody? Hope you're doing good today. All right, first things first, congratulations to Christopher Bell. He did what he had to do to get into the Final Four. He won the race, and he did what he had to do. Like, he had good strategy. He had a good car. He got out there, got that clean air. Even watching throughout the race, even when Denny Hamlin was dominated, it looked like Christopher Bell had an equal car. If he could get some track position, his team did what they had to do to get him that track position. And once he got that track position, it was his race. He had to pass a couple of cars, Chase Briscoe and Brad Keselowski, and I think Kyle Larson at the end of the race. But he passed those guys, and once he got past those guys, he set sail, did what he had to do to get into the playoffs. So good for Christopher Bell. It was actually going to kind of be a shame if he didn't make the Final Four because he had such a good playoffs, and he had that little bit of bad luck at wherever it was. So he won, he got in, but you would think that would be the biggest story, but it was not the biggest story because also during this race, Ross Chastain threw this right here. I'm not sure you've seen it, but if you're watching it again right here, look at this absolutely insane move. This was about 2 rows over from where I was sitting in turn 4. I don't know who recorded this, but I'd give him credit if I did. But this was about 2 rows over from where I was sitting in turn 4. And when I first saw this, I was like, man, Ross Chastain just blew a tire and hit the wall. Then I was like, oh, wait a minute. He's speeding up. I was like, what? It was so hard to process in the moment. But what an absolutely awesome move by Ross Chastain. And I can tell you from being there, he absolutely won the crowd over. Every single person in that grandstand was pulling for and cheering for Ross Chastain. When his car came back around after that, I've got some video of that I'll show for the vlog later. When his car came back around after he made that move, all battered and damaged, he got the biggest cheer. When he was giving his interview, he was getting cheered. And every time they showed that thing on replay, he was getting cheered. And also, before the race started, the merchandise tent for Ross Chastain, they had plenty of hats and t-shirts and stuff. As I walked by it at the end of the night, I took a picture of it just so you could see this right here. All of the Ross Chastain hats, except for one particular style, were basically sold out, and most of the t-shirts. So Ross Chastain won over the entire Martinsville crowd. So that was actually the bigger story of the race, believe it or not, because he stole the show from the guy who had to win to get in and won and got in. So, what a completely awesome move. And it is also of note, this is the first time NASCAR has been trending for a positive reason on Twitter all season. So kudos to Ross Chastain for throwing a crazy move and getting NASCAR to trend for a positive reason. All right, let's look at the top 10. Christopher Bell, of course, is your winner. Kyle Larson finishes second. Ryan Blaney finishes third. Had a good race, but not quite good enough to continue his playoff run. Ross Chastain finishes fourth. He gets that fourth place finish because Brad Keselowski was thrown out because his car was too light. Denny Hamlin ends up finishing fifth. For all the negative things people say about Denny Hamlin handled that very well. It has to be heartbreaking to get knocked out of the playoffs like that. But the interview he gave credit to Ross Chastain, a bitter rival too, getting knocked out by a bitter rival. Much respect to Denny Hamlin for giving a really good interview and giving Ross Chastain credit. Joey Logano finishes 6th, William Byron 7th, Bubba Wallace finishes 8th. He's rebounding, of course, from being suspended. Chase Briscoe is 9th, and Chase Elliott ends up 10th. So that was your good race. Of course, now we will take a look at bad race. Of course, Denny Hamlin getting basically knocked out of the playoffs on the last lap with that Hail Mary move from Ross Chastain. And then let's go to some more serious stuff. Tyler Reddick had to exit the race early because he was having headache-like symptoms or his head hurt or whatever. So that leads the question. We've seen a few situations where drivers getting wrecks. We saw Tyler Reddick getting a wreck a week ago. So is this another one of those concussion-like scenarios for Tyler Reddick? Hopefully not. Hopefully that is not the case, but bad race for Tyler Reddick. Obviously, driver safety, whenever that's an issue, that is a bad race. It was also a bad race for Kyle Busch. Kyle Busch, this entire playoffs, has not really had a great car. I don't know what the deal is. I don't know if Joe Gibbs is over there R&D'ing or if Joe Gibbs is just not giving him good equipment because they want to send him out on a down note. Pick your conspiracy theory on that one, but bad race for Kyle Busch. He was like 7 laps down or something like that. He just looked like he was off the pace from the drop of the green flag. So bad race for Kyle Busch. Of course, not the way he wanted to go out and end the M&M's relationship or whatever. And it's also a bad race for Chase Briscoe because he almost stole this race. And nobody is going to talk about how great he drove in those last few laps to just hold on to the lead. He did everything he could to win this race because he had to, and he was really close. This is not one of his best tracks. He almost had it, but of course he ran out of laps. There were too many laps to go at the end, so bad race for Chase Briscoe because nobody's going to talk about the great effort they had and the great playoff run he had. So he didn't make the Final Four, so bad race for him, just because people won't talk about how great of a race he actually had trying to go for the win. All right, now let's look at the points. So going into Phoenix, it's going to be Joey Logano, Christopher Bell, Ross Chastain, and Chase Elliott going for the championship. 2 Chevrolets, 1 Toyota, 1 Ford. So everybody has somebody to pull for as far as manufacturers go, and it should be a very interesting weekend at Phoenix. I will be there, so look out for me. And with that, that is the end of this one. I am going to make probably 1 or 2 more videos today, so look out for those. One is going to be, should they outlaw the Ross Chastain move, because some drivers have spoken out about that. So all of you who are like, oh, you didn't talk about such and such, saying they didn't like Ross Chastain's move, I'm going to make a whole video about that because I feel like it deserves a whole video. And I'm also going to do, hopefully put together a weekend vlog of all the activities I saw there. And also at some point, I will get to making that Ty Gibbs video, because I know a lot of you wanted that Ty Gibbs video. I was at Martinsville all weekend, so I didn't have a chance to do anything. So I will get all that stuff caught up here. And other than that, I appreciate your subscriptions if you made it this far. And if you're already subscribed, you know I appreciate it. If you got a comment or question, leave it down in the comment section. And other than that, thanks for your time. Peace.